In open court.
The court said, "Would you have the jurors return to the courtroom, please?"
Jury present.
The court said, "Please be seated. Will the government call its first witness?"
Mr. Finkel said, "Yes, Your Honor. The government calls Erin McNamara."
Erin McNamara, called as a witness by the government, having been duly sworn, testified as follows.
The court said, "Please state your name and spell it."
The witness said, Erin, E-R-I-N, McNamara, M-C-N-A-M-A-R-A.
The court said, "Please draw the microphone towards you. You can bend it if you like. You may inquire."
Mr. Finkel said, "Thank you, Your Honor."
Direct examination. By Mr. Finkel.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Where do you work?
I'm a special agent with the FBI in the New Haven field office.
How long have you been with the FBI?
26 years.
What, if anything, did you do before you were an FBI agent?
I was an auto underwriter with State Farm.
Special Agent McNamara, what is ERT?
It's an evidence response team.
Can you please describe to the members of the jury what the evidence response team does?
Sure. Evidence response teams, they are bureau-wide. They are people who are additionally trained in crime scene management and forensic evidence collection.
Special Agent McNamara, what role, if any, do you have with ERT?
I'm the senior team leader for the New Haven team.
What is a search warrant?
A search warrant is a document that's obtained from a judge, usually an investigator gets it. It explains what it is that you are allowed to search, and what it is that you are allowed to search for and seize.
Special Agent McNamara, I want to direct your attention to March 15, 2023. In connection with your role at ERT, what, if anything, did you do that day?
We executed a search warrant at 373 Taconic Road in Greenwich, Connecticut.
What sort of neighborhood is Greenwich, Connecticut?
It's a very affluent neighborhood.
How would you describe 373 Taconic Road?
It's beautiful, beautiful mansion. Very large, beautiful yard, pool, tennis courts. And I believe it even bordered a golf course.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, we can display for the witness what's been marked for identification as GX-133. Special Agent McNamara, what is GX-133?
That's an aerial view of 373 Taconic Road in Greenwich.
Is that a fair and accurate photograph of 373 Taconic Road in Greenwich?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, government offers 133.
The court said, "No objection?"
Ms. Shrofa said, "No, Your Honor."
The court said, "Admitted."
Government's Exhibit 133 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, if we could publish it, please, Ms. Loftus. Special Agent McNamara, was the weather the day that you were at 373 Taconic the same as what we see on the screen?
No, there was snow on the ground.
Approximately what time did you arrive at 373 Taconic on March 15th?
Around 7 a.m.
And when you arrived, did the FBI have a search warrant?
Yes.
For what?
For 373 Taconic Road and its grounds.
Did the FBI have an arrest warrant that day?
Yes.
For who?
Miles Guo.
Was Miles Guo present at 373 Taconic?
No.
Were there individuals besides FBI personnel present at 373 Taconic?
Yes, there were 3 residents. There were an older female, a younger female, and a male. And my understanding was it was the wife, daughter, and the daughter's boyfriend.
Wife, daughter, and daughter's boyfriend of whom?
Of Mr. Guo.
What were their names?
Ms. Shrofa said, "Objection."
The court said, "Overruled. You may state that. You may answer."
The daughter was May.
Ms. Shrofa said, May we approach for a moment, please?
The court said, "All right."
Ms. Shrofa said, "Thank you."
At sidebar.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, the daughter's name is immaterial. She has been the subject of a lot of online and offline harassment. She's not even in court today because she does not want to be identified. She has made no court appearances, even though she's dedicated to her father because she is constantly harangued. We have not once raised an objection to their witnesses' names not being disclosed. And there is no relevance to what her name is. It's not pertinent at all to any questioning here. Her name could be Sonia Gandhi, for all I care, but her real name does not need to be used."
Mr. Finkel said, "It is pertinent because her name is on documents, as is the name of the wife, as is the name of the daughter's boyfriend or fiancé. In addition, I should note it is relevant here. Ms. Schroff opened on the fact of the wife and the daughter and their relationship with him. Her name is on documents. We need to explain who she is. It's relevant."
The court said, "The harassers already know her name."
Ms. Shrofa said, "She's not here in court. She didn't come to court to support her father because she's being harassed, Your Honor. And I did not refer to her by name in my opening for a specific reason, which is obvious why I didn't use the wife's name and the daughter's name. And I think the record speaks for itself on that point."
The court said, "So the fact that these names are on documents makes her name relevant. But also, the Chinese Communist Party jailed the wife and daughter. I'm sure they know the name, plus a lot of other information. The objection is overruled."
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, it's not the Chinese Communist Party, it's quote/unquote victims."
The court said, "Overruled, Ms. Schroff."
Ms. Shrofa said, "Thank you."
Continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, "You may answer."
The daughter was Mei, Mei, Guo, Guo. The mother, I only recall her last name was Ngok, Ngok. And the male, it was Chao, Cao.
Do you remember the male's first name?
I do not.
Mr. Finkel said, "Ms. Loftus, if we can display for the witness 3514 to 48. If you can please go to page 2 of that. Actually, Your Honor, may I approach?"
The court said, "You may."
Special Agent McNamara, can you look at your screen towards the bottom? And the question is whether that refreshes your recollection as to the daughter's boyfriend's first name.
Yes. Please.
Mr. Finkel said, "Ms. Loftus, can you bring that down?" Special Agent McNamara, what is the daughter's boyfriend's first name?
Defeng, Defeng.
Special Agent McNamara, what was your role with respect to the search at 373 Taconic?
I was a coordinator. I made sure we had the materials we needed. Assignments as to who would photograph, answer questions. Just sort of made sure that the search kept moving, and that everything was completed.
And what were the sort of items that the team was looking for?
Electronics like cell phones, computers, business records, financial records, photographs. Things of that nature.
By the way, Special Agent McNamara, aside from your involvement in this search on March 15th, were you involved in the investigation concerning Miles Guo?
No.
If you were not involved in the Miles Guo investigation, can you explain to the members of the jury why, if at all, you were participating in a search that day?
Sure. It was a request by New York. They had multiple search warrants. So they needed assistance conducting this one. And since it's in Greenwich, it's in our territory in Connecticut. So they asked us for assistance. They asked us to provide people and supplies and things that were needed to conduct the search.
Does that happen somewhat commonly within the FBI?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, "Your Honor, at this time I'd like to read a stipulation to the parties."
The court said, "Go ahead." Before you read the stipulation though, I'd like to let the jurors know what a stipulation is. A A stipulation is an agreement between both sides to present evidence to the jury without calling a witness for the purpose of discussing the subject matter. Go ahead.
Mr. Finkel said, "It is hereby stipulated and agreed by the United States of America and Miles Guo, the defendant, if called as a witness at trial, a special agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, would testify as follows. On March 15, 2023, special agents and other FBI employees executed a judicially authorized search of 373 Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut. During the course of that search, FBI personnel took photographs of exterior and interior spaces of 373 Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut, and also lawfully seized documents and electronic devices. Government exhibits GXCT20 through GXCT30, GXCT35 through GXCT72, GXCT74 through GXCT105 are fair and accurate photographs of interior and exterior spaces of 373 Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut, that were lawfully captured by an FBI photographer on March 15, 2023, when conducting the search. Following the March 15, 2023 search, FBI personnel scanned and photographed documents that were lawfully seized during the search. GXCT101 through GXCT129, GXCT157 through GXCT187, GXCT190 through GXCT202, and GXCT204 through GXCT207 are true and correct copies of documents that were seized during the March 15, 2023 search of 373 Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut. It is further stipulated and agreed that this stipulation, which is GXSTP1, may be received into evidence as a government exhibit at trial, and it's signed by the parties. With that, Your Honor, the government offers GXSTP1.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit STIP-1 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, and the government offers GXCT20 through GXCT30, GXCT35 through 72, GXCT74 through 105, GXCT101 through 129, GXCT157 through 187, GXCT190 through 202, and GXCT204 through 207.
The court said, they are admitted.
Government's Exhibits CT20 through CT30, CT35 through 72, CT74 through 105, CT101 through 129, CT157 through 187, CT190 through 202, CT204 through 207 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, thank you.
By Mr. Finkel.
Special Agent McNamara, did you see every aspect of 373 Taconic on March 15, 2023?
I did not.
How long did the search take?
Just under 4 hours.
Mr. Finkel said, we can please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit GXCT87. Special Agent McNamara, what is the jury looking at in GXCT87?
That's an exterior photo of 373 Taconic Road.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can pull up, please, Ms. Loftus, GXCT25. It's not on your screen. If you can publish that, please. Ms. Loftus. It wasn't published. Thank you. Sorry about that. Special Agent McNamara, what is GXCT25?
That's another exterior photo of 373 Taconic Road, the rear of the house.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if we can please publish GXCT91. Special Agent McNamara, what is GXCT91?
This is a side of the house, the side with the 2 garages.
Did there come a time during the search of 373 Taconic when you entered the garages that we're looking at in GXCT91?
Yes.
Which garage?
Both.
What, if anything, were in the garages?
In the garage to the right in the photo, as you're looking at it, was a red Lamborghini.
Mr. Finkel said, if you can please display GXCT95. Special Agent McNamara, is this the garage that you went inside and saw the red Lamborghini?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can please display GXCT38. Sorry. It looks like our computer froze. Bear with us. Apologies. While we're waiting for the computer to wake up, which happens, sorry, Special Agent McNamara, what, if anything, happened to the Lamborghini on March 15, 2023?
It was seized.
And was that pursuant to a warrant?
A seizure warrant, yes.
And was the FBI able to locate the keys to the Lamborghini?
Yes.
And where were they?
Inside the house.
Did you see the keys that day?
I did.
Special Agent McNamara, what is a VIN number?
It's a vehicle identification number. It's a number that's unique to each vehicle.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can please display GXCT42. Special Agent McNamara, approximately how many FBI personnel participated in the search?
Around 40.
And did you walk from one side of the home to the other?
I did not, no, not on every floor, no, I did not.
On any of the floors, did you?
The first floor.
How long did it take to get from one side to the other?
I don't know. I was stopped multiple times from one end to the other.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can please display, Ms. Loftus, GXCT41. Special Agent McNamara, did the 373 Taconic appear to be a home that was lived in?
Yes.
Why was that?
There were clothes, shoes, food, toiletries, dogs. They had 2 dogs. Dog beds.
Mr. Finkel said, just going to wait for our computer to cooperate so we can continue. All right. Special Agent McNamara, what are we looking at in GXCT41?
That's the VIN number on the Lamborghini in the garage.
Does ERT have any practices or procedures with respect to VIN numbers on cars?
Yes, we always photo the VIN number because it's a unique identifier. Like a serial number on a computer.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, may I approach?
The court said you may.
Mr. Finkel said, I've handed the witness what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 36. Special Agent McNamara, can you look at Government Exhibit 36, please?
It's keys to a Lamborghini.
And do those keys have any uniquely identifying marks?
There's a partial VIN number on the tag.
And what is the end of the partial VIN number?
10,393.
Does that match the VIN number in GXCT41?
It does.
Mr. Finkel said, Government offers 36.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 36 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, may I publish it to the jury?
The court said you may.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can display for the witness, please, Government Exhibit GXCT209. Just for the witness. Special Agent McNamara, from where were the keys recovered?
It was a room. I would call it like an office/security room. There were monitors for the security cameras in there. And a desk.
Mr. Finkel said, one moment, please. Mr. Finkel said, GXCT209, please, for the witness. Special Agent McNamara, what is GXCT209?
That's another photograph from the search.
Is that a fair and accurate photograph of what you saw on March 15, 2023?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, Government offers CT209.
The court said, "It is admitted."
Government's Exhibit CT-209 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, "Can you please publish that? The jury can see it?" "No." "Now you can." "Okay. Great." Special Agent McNamara, do you know what those flags are?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, "We can now please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit CT-58. Special Agent McNamara, what are we looking at in GXCT-58?
A photograph of one of the rooms in the house at 373 Taconic Road.
And what, if anything, was in that room besides what we're looking at?
Oh, cameras. Like a video cameras.
Do you know why there are video cameras in there?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, "Please look at, Ms. Loftus, GXCT-59. What is GXCT-59?
That's another photo of that room, that same room.
Mr. Finkel said, "If we can please, Ms. Loftus, show just the witness GXCT-208. This is just for the witness, please." Special Agent McNamara, what are we looking at in GXCT-208?
That's another photograph from the search. That's what I would call the living room.
Mr. Finkel said, "Government offers GXCT-208.
The court said, "It is admitted."
Government's Exhibit CT-208 received in evidence.
Mr. Finkel said, "Publish that please, Ms. Loftus. If we can please display Government Exhibit GXCT-83, which is in evidence. Do you know what those insignias on the clothing are?"
No.
Mr. Finkel said, "Ms. Loftus, if we can display GXCT-80. 80, please. 80. This is in evidence. Jury able to see that?" "No." "Can we publish that to the jury, please? Are these some of the closets that you mentioned before?"
Yes.
Special Agent McNamara, you said some documents were recovered that day. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you review the documents?
No.
Did other members of the team?
No.
What happened to the documents after they were collected on March 15, 2023? Do you know?
They were collected, they were packaged, and they were handed over to New York.
And the New York field office was running this investigation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Schrofa said, "Objection to the leading."
The court said, "You can ask who was leading the investigation."
By Mr. Finkel.
Special Agent McNamara, which field office, if any, was leading the investigation in this matter to your understanding?
New York.
Mr. Finkel said, "We can please display what's in evidence and for the witness and the jury GXCT-201. If you can go to the second page, please." Special Agent McNamara, can you read what it says at the top?
Brioni, 688 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10065. Telephone number, 21237657777.
What does it say in that green cell at the top of the chart?
Invoice from Mr. Miles Kwok Bespoke Order.
Do you know what Brioni is?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, "If we can go to the next page, please, Ms. Loftus. Page 4, rather. Can you zoom in on that? We can go to page 5, please. And if you can please pull up what's in evidence as GXCT-205. I'm sorry, 207. Excuse me. This should be published so the jury can see it. If we can go to the next page, please. And can you zoom in at the top, please, Ms. Loftus? Special Agent McNamara, can you read up to background?
Execution version. Loan agreement. This agreement is made on the 3rd day of June 2020. Between GTV Media Group Incorporated, the lender, a Delaware corporation with office address at 162 East 64th Street, New York. New York, 10065, and Soraka Media Group Incorporated, the borrower. A Delaware corporation with office address at 162 East 64th Street, New York, New York, 10065. Each a party together parties.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if you can go to the last page of this document, please. Can you zoom in on that? And who is the authorized signatory according to this document? Special Agent McNamara. For Soraka Media Group Incorporated?
I'm going to mispronounce this. Chong, Qiang, Guo.
Mr. Finkel said, thank you, Ms. Loftus. If we can bring up, please, GXCT 198 for the parties and the jury. And if you can go to the next page of that, please. Special Agent McNamara, can you read this document, please?
Dear Mr. Harry Eccles Williams, I am writing this letter to request and to put into consent for the release of all my files from your firm to Changhua as soon as possible. Most importantly, the relationship between me and Appleby, the relationship between Well Origin and Appleby. Thank you. Yours sincere, Ho Won Kwok.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if we can bring up, please, GXCT 157 for the jury and the parties. That's fine. Right there as you have it. Special Agent McNamara, can you read the top of that, please?
G-Talks program.
Can you read down where it says 7:48 a.m.?
Welcome by host, Limari Reyes.
Who's Limari Reyes?
I have no idea.
Mr. Finkel said, we can display please GXCT 172. That's fine, Ms. Loftus. Special Agent McNamara, can you read the top of GXCT 172?
List of do not words / I'm sorry, ideas.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, can you scroll down a little bit? Special Agent McNamara, do you see where it says, loans?
Yes.
Can you read the words that follow? Loans.
Partner or partners, growth projections, venture, partnership, future investment benefits. Future opportunities, participate / participation in business or profits, GTV, Soraka, voice of Gua / voice of good, VOG. Rule of Law Foundation, Rule of Law Society, Canada Himalaya, Zhang Yunfu, Lude, Yvette Wang Yvette, Sarah, Mulan, SEC. Investigation, litigations, Golden Spring, regulators, DOJ.
What is DOJ?
Department of Justice.
What is SEC?
Securities Exchange Commission.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if we can bring up, please, GXCT 174. Can you read where it says 8:20 a.m.?
Live Q&A by Mr. Miles Guo, pre-selected questions.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if you can display for the witness only GXCT 210. Special Agent McNamara, what is GXCT 210?
It's one of the photographs from the search.
Mr. Finkel said, government offers GXCT 210.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection, Your Honor.
The court said, if you'll step up, please.
Mr. Finkel said, I can lay an additional foundation. How do you recognize this photograph as one of the photographs from the search?
I reviewed the photographs.
Okay. Did you see this particular area of 373 Taconic on the day that the search was conducted?
I don't recollect.
Okay. Does the FBI maintain photographs that are taken during a search in the regular course of FBI's business?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection. What the FBI generally does is not relevant.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
And you said that you reviewed the photographs from the search. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection to the leading.
The court said, overruled. You may continue.
So we maintained a copy of photographs from the search. When I was asked to come here, I reviewed this to refresh my memory of the search.
And the photographs that were part of the search Are they maintained in FBI's records and kept that way?
Yes.
Ms. Strofa said, "Objection. She has no personal knowledge."
The court said, "Step up."
Continued on next page. At sidebar.
The court said, "So she is familiar with the photographs from the search."
Mr. Finkel said, "So, Your Honor, she was the team lead and she's familiar with the RT, including its record-keeping practices. For one, I think she recognizes parts of the photograph. But that's neither here nor there. She can lay an 8036 foundation as a photograph that was taken at the search. She knows it was stored with the other photographs of the search. I'll lay that foundation that it was taken by someone with knowledge of the matter at the time it occurred and kept in the course of the FBI's business. It's one photograph. We can lay the foundation."
Ms. Strofa said, "The government knows full well it has a problem here. They asked me this morning to stipulate to it coming into evidence and I declined because they are unable to lay a foundation. The fact that..."
The court said, "What is wanting in the foundation?"
Ms. Strofa said, "Your Honor, number 1, she didn't take the photograph. Number 2, she didn't view the evidence. Number 3, she didn't view that particular scene. Number 4, the only reason she's able to testify this way is because of the government giving her the photos that they took from other members of the FBI team and showed it to her. She has zero personal knowledge of this particular photograph. And nothing about a photograph being in an FBI file falls under the exception of a business record. Either she has personal knowledge of this or she doesn't, and clearly she doesn't, Your Honor. Additionally,"
the court said, "Isn't this kept in the regular course of business?"
Ms. Strofa said, "It doesn't fall within that exception because the exception is supposed to capture something that is, 1, a business record, which this is not. This is evidence gathering. And documents gathered by the FBI are by definition self-serving because they are prepared in the course of a litigation. But they do not technically fall within the business records exception. Number 2, the way this photograph is taken. It is not a photograph of a scene that is in the home. So what they've done is they've gone through the entire house, pulled out all the sunglasses, laid them on a table, and then taken a photograph. You can see that clearly from the photograph and from the cases that are stacked up next to them. So this particular person did not do the underlying search for the sunglasses, did not place the sunglasses there. And she has zero personal knowledge of any of this."
The court said, "But the photograph was taken during the course of the search."
Ms. Strofa said, "She wouldn't know that. It could have been the search, it could have been another search. It could have been a search before that. She doesn't know when this photograph was taken."
Mr. Finkel said, "If I may just make a few points. First of all, if necessary, we can bring another person to simply authenticate one photograph. The parties have worked quite well in good faith on stipulating authenticity. Suddenly that changed this morning. Number 1, I believe if I ask the witness, do you recognize any components of this photograph? She will say, I know the door, and that was from the room. A witness does not have to be the one to take a photograph to get it into evidence. The witness does not have to be the one to move things around if that's, in fact, what happened to get it into evidence. If Ms. Schroff wants to cross her on how the sunglasses were arranged, if that is, in fact, correct, I don't know, she can do that. It's just an admissibility question."
The court said, "So she may be able to testify as to the door, but she certainly can't testify as to the rest of the room and how these sunglasses were positioned."
Ms. Strofa said, "We would have no objection."
Mr. Finkel said, "Excuse me."
Ms. Strofa said, "To the photo of the door."
Mr. Finkel said, "Excuse me. That would be appropriate cross. This goes to the weight of the document." Excuse me. This goes to the weight of the document, not to admissibility. In either case, I can lay an 8036 foundation. She's familiar with the case file, and she's familiar with how the records are stored. That's one photograph. I'll just leave it at that.
The court said, so she can identify the room, but she cannot identify these objects.
Mr. Finkel said, okay. So I'll lay an 8036 foundation.
The court said, okay.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor?
The court said, we're done.
Continued on next page. In open court. By Mr. Finkel.
Special Agent McNamara, when a search is conducted by the FBI, what happens to the photographer's photos?
The photographer takes the SD card out of the camera, places it into a tower. It's not a computer, it's a tower where you just burn, you can do like 4 copies at a time. Southwest that they place that in there. We burn the copies. The first copy is the original. And that goes into original envelope of original evidence envelope, a 1A envelope we call it. It gets attached to the file. The second is the backup copy, that also gets put into the file. The third copy is one we would send to the case agent for a working copy, so they wouldn't have to go and remove those physically from the file to review it. And if there were items that were being sent to the lab, we would also burn a copy to send with those items to the lab for review.
The court said, I'd like you to get closer to the microphone. You can bring it closer, you can sit closer. And speak up.
And the copies of photographs? Which field office, if any, were they sent to?
New York.
Mr. Finkel said, we can please display, Ms. Loftus, Government Exhibit GXCT 129. This is an evidence. And if we can please go to page 17. I just want to make sure it's published for the jury. If you can zoom in just for the top half, please, Ms. Loftus.
Continued on next page. By Mr. Finkel.
Can you read that, please, Special Agent McNamara?
Declaration of Trust and Agreement. The Declaration of Trust and Agreement, this trust and agreement, is made on December 2020 between Guo, the beneficiary, an individual holding Cyprus passport number blank, residing at blank, London, United Kingdom, and Kinmin Je, the trustee, an individual holding Hong Kong passport no. KJ01684111, residing at 87 Balmoral House, Earl's Way, London, United Kingdom, each a party, together parties.
And you can continue reading, please.
Background. The trustee agrees to hold the shares of the following companies, each the company. Together. The companies, registered in the name of the trustee for and on behalf of the beneficiary, 1. Himalaya Currency Clearing Proprietary Limited, a company registered in Australia with the company number 642418684, 2. Himalaya Reserves Proprietary Limited. A company registered in Australia with company number 642487232, Himalaya, sorry. 3. Himalaya Currency, I think it's party, I'm sorry, Limited, a company registered in Australia, with company number 643817449. 4. Major Lead International, Limited, a company registered in British Virgin Islands with company number 1976621.
Mr. Finkel said, can you zoom in, please, Ms. Loftus? Can you read number 3, please, Special Agent McNamara? Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if you can zoom in on number 3.
The trustee further covenants with the beneficiary, 3.1, to keep the company at all times solvent unless instructed otherwise by the beneficiary, and to comply with all applicable rules and regulations that the company requires. 3.2, to keep the company active on the relevant registry at all times, and pay on time all applicable fees which will be reimbursed by the beneficiary. 3.3, not to assign or part with possession of the company to any third party without the prior written approval of the beneficiary.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, you can zoom out of that, please, and go to the next page. And the next page, please. And can you read the sign names, next to where it says signed?
Signed by Guo. Signed by Kinmin Je. Witnessed by blank. Down.
Mr. Finkel said, thank you. Ms. Loftus, you can take that just one moment, Your Honor. Can you please display, Ms. Loftus? Government Exhibit GXCT 176. And Special Agent McNamara, can you read starting where it says, Draw?
Draw G, I'm sorry, G fashion items, designer 1 whistle, pants, 100, hat 200.
Mr. Finkel said, if you can please go, Ms. Loftus, GXCT 184. Next page, please. Keep going. Stop right there. What sort of document is it?
It's a vehicle title.
What's a vehicle title?
It's something that you have to, shows your ownership and it's registered with the state.
What's the name of the owner listed on this?
It's Cao, Cao, Defeng, Defeng.
Did you see Cao Defeng or Defeng Cao on March 15, 2023?
Yes.
And what type of car is this?
Lamborghini.
What's the model?
Aventador.
And what is the last 4 digits of the VIN, or vehicle identification number?
0393.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if you can please display GXCT 41. What are the last 4 digits of this vehicle identification number on the Lamborghini?
0393.
Mr. Finkel said, nothing further at this time. Thank you.
The court said, cross-examination?
Ms. Schrofa said, thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination. By Ms. Schrofa.
Good afternoon, Special Agent.
Good afternoon.
Ms. McNamara, before March 15th, did you know anything about Mr. Miles Guo?
No.
And you prepared, I take it, right, to execute the search on March 15th?
Prepared the search supplies and things of that nature, yes.
Right. And you had a plan in place, correct?
Yes.
And prior to executing the search, you met with or emailed with the members of the team that were going to accompany you, correct?
Yes.
You discussed where Mr. Guo might be on March 15th, correct?
I don't believe so.
You did not discuss which one of the 3 homes you thought he might be in.
I don't recall that.
Do you recall, sitting here today, on what date you started preparing to execute the search?
It was either earlier that week or late the prior week. I believe.
And you emailed, did you not, with other members, including somebody named Robin, correct?
I don't know who Robin is.
Robin Cartwright?
Rachel Cartwright.
I'm sorry?
Rachel.
Rachel, Robin, you emailed with her, right?
Yes. She's the one that requested our assistance.
And in emailing with her, the plan was for her to exchange information with you and you to exchange information with her, correct?
Information about how we were going to conduct the search, yes.
Right. And you knew you were going to search a home, correct?
Yes.
And you knew it was a large home, correct?
Yes.
And you knew the home could have Mr. Guo in it, correct?
Yes.
And you were planning to arrest Mr. Guo, correct?
I was not.
Well, somebody on your team was going to arrest Mr. Guo, correct?
No one on my team does arrests. We simply do searches.
Okay. And you testified earlier that you didn't recall whether or not you anticipated where Mr. Guo would be. So let me approach with something that might refresh your recollection. That would be 3514 to 24. Does that refresh your recollection, ma'am, that you were anticipating Mr. Guo not being in the Connecticut home?
No.
And it is fair to say that you interacted via email with several individuals, all coordinating the search of this place, right?
Yes.
And that's 373. I have trouble pronouncing the street, Taconic Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you wanted to go there early in the morning, correct?
Yeah. I did not choose the time.
Okay. But in any event, you were there before 7 o'clock. Is that fair to say?
No. We arrived around 7 o'clock.
And it's fair to say that the home itself is not one that you had access to, correct?
Mr. Finkel said, objection.
I don't understand.
The court said, overruled.
Ms. Schrofa said, I'll rephrase, Your Honor. You couldn't get in through the gate, right? Your team couldn't get in through the gate, correct?
Yes, we could. The gate was open when we arrived.
The gate to the home was open.
Yes. When my team arrived, the gate was open.
And how many teams preceded you?
The team that was doing the entry.
The team that was doing the entry, correct?
Yes.
And the team that was doing the entry was coordinating with the team that was following, which is your team, correct?
When they finished their entry and it was secured, they let us know that we can then proceed to the location.
Right. And did the team that was doing the entry tell you that it was Mr. Guo's daughter who let them in?
Mr. Finkel said, objection.
The court said, sustained.
When you
said, you don't need to answer.
When you entered the home, did you see Mr. Guo's daughter and wife seated outside on a bench?
No.
When was the first time you saw Mr. Guo's daughter and wife in that home?
Inside the house.
Where were they seated inside the house?
I would call it like a family room.
And they were put there by the team that entered before you, correct?
I don't know. I was not there.
You don't know because you weren't there. And when you entered the house, did you go from room to room in the home?
When I first entered the house.
Yes.
When I first entered the house, I went towards where the residents were to find Supervisory Special Agent Cartwright to let her know that we were there.
Because she was the first entry team, right?
I don't know.
You don't know who the first entry team was?
I don't know who was on the entry team. I followed the entry team. That was not part of the search.
So you followed the entry team, correct? And the entry team told you that the location was secure, correct?
We were at a staging location when the entry team told us it was secure. Then we drove to the residence.
And how many of you drove together?
I can only speak for my team. There were probably a dozen of us or so.
You just said you can only speak for your team, correct?
Right. You asked who drove together, that's who I drove with, my team.
Okay. Did any members of your team take any of the photographs you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll get to the photographs in a minute. But let's just stay with your entry into the home. Okay. When you entered the home, it looked, as you said, like a home that was lived in, correct?
Yes.
There was food on the kitchen table, correct?
There was food, yes.
Yes. And there were 3 people in the home, correct?
Yes.
And the 3 people were Mr. Guo's wife, correct?
Yes.
His daughter, correct?
Yes.
And his daughter's fiancé, correct?
I was told boyfriend, but yes.
Okay. And did you see the boyfriend who was in crutches in the bedroom, or did somebody tell you about that?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Sure. During your search, did you see his daughter's boyfriend?
Yes. They were all in that room together.
Okay. And he was on crutches, correct?
Oh, crutches, yes. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you.
That's okay. A lot of people misunderstand me. But he was on crutches, right?
Yes, he had crutches with him.
Right. And there were 2 dogs, 2 small poodle-like dogs in the home, correct?
Yes.
And they had all been placed in that one room, correct?
No. I took the daughter upstairs to go get the dogs.
Okay. So you took the daughter upstairs so that she could retrieve the dogs. And you brought his daughter back down and put her back in that room, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you had them stay there while the rest of your team searched the whole home, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You gave her a copy of the search warrant, I'm assuming?
I did not.
Okay. But she didn't stand in the way of you searching the home, right?
No, she did not.
Neither did the boyfriend who was on crutches, correct?
Correct.
And certainly the wife didn't stand in the way, correct?
Correct.
His wife is about 60 years old, is that right?
I have no idea.
Wasn't she nervous when you watched her?
I didn't watch her. I saw her briefly. I spoke with the daughter, I took her to get the dogs. Brought them back down, I let her know that, if she needed to bring them out to feed them. It's not a problem, just let us know, and then we proceeded.
And then you started to search the house. You said there were at least about 20 other people, correct?
Yeah. Oh, at least.
Okay. And when you say at least, were there more than 20?
I think we had approximately 40 people searching.
Okay. So you had 40 people searching, 3 residents in the home, right?
Yes.
And nobody interfered with your search?
No.
Okay. At the time that you executed the search at 373, that's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Did you know how many other homes Mr. Guo had?
No.
Did you know he had a home in New York City?
I know that they were doing other warrants at the same time. I'm not sure which homes he owned or where he lived.
Okay. At the time that you executed the search, did you know Mr. Guo to have a lawyer?
I have no idea.
Mr. Finkel said, objection.
The court said, overruled.
At the time that you went to search Mr. Guo's home, did you know anything about his status in the United States?
Mr. Finkel said, objection.
The court said, if you'll step up, please.
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
The court said, so this is beyond the direct.
Ms. Strofa said, I'm happy to call her as my own witness then, Your Honor. But I'm allowed to have some latitude about what she knew when she executed the search warrant. I'd be happy to be more constrained, Your Honor, but...
The court said, so whether he had a lawyer, I allowed that, but now going into his immigration status, I think that's just going beyond.
Ms. Strofa said, well, she took hundreds of documents from his home. I'm entitled to ask what other documents she took and what other documents he elicited testimony about.
The court said, are there documents that relate to his immigration status?
Mr. Finkel said, I don't know. But I understood from their response to our letter the other night that his immigration status is not at issue, and it isn't. It's irrelevant. And I also understood from Your Honor's ruling the presence of lawyers is not something that the defense was going to dwell on. Nor should they suggest, by implying to the jury that Mr. Guo had a lawyer, somehow the search was improper. The search was proper. It was judicially authorized.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, asking if somebody has a lawyer does not imply that a search is improper, number 1. Number 2, she recovered documents. If they want to cherry pick as to what they put in, I'm allowed to explore what else was out there. We have no interest and, the immigration issue.
The court said, you can ask whether or not there were documents related to immigration status.
Ms. Strofa said, right. And that shows that a person lived in their home. Personal documents were in his home. The point of my cross is to show that's his residential home. I'm not seeking to present a defense that he has an immigration consequence through this conviction, which is what the brief was about, so I don't know why that's being brought up here. Totally irrelevant.
The court said, so there's no dispute as to whether or not it was used as a home, is there?
Ms. Strofa said, oh, yes. Their argument is that Mawa was also a home, and I'm trying to show this was his home alone. Nothing that is recovered here is anywhere comparable to anything recovered in Mawa. I am entitled to show that.
The court said, so you're saying this is his principal home?
Ms. Strofa said, his only residential home.
The court said, okay. Well, she can bring out some evidence on that issue.
Mr. Finkel said, certainly. It shouldn't suggest immigration status. Immigration status is not something that's relevant.
Ms. Strofa said, we're not talking about a status. I have a status, you have a status. I'm an American passport holder. That's my status. If my passport is in my home, it's more likely it's my home. It's less likely it's your home, right?
Mr. Finkel said, I completely agree the passport is.
The court said, sure. But you were asking about his immigration status.
Ms. Strofa said, I'll move from there and ask him if she found some immigration-related document or his immigration paperwork. His identity card, his wallet. I'm entitled to ask all of that.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, no objection to identity card, no objection to wallet. My objection is for 402. 403 reasons to immigration documents and immigration status. That's not appropriate. It's not relevant. I have no issue with them exploring personal effects that were there. That's fine. But
Ms. Shrofa said, "We're not arguing he's going to be deported or anything like that. We're just trying to show that he had immigration paperwork at his home."
The court said, but ask for a passport as opposed to, do you know what his immigration status was?
Ms. Shrofa said, "Sure. I'd be happy to rephrase."
The court said, thank you.
In open court.
The court said, objection is overruled.
By Ms. Shrofa.
Agent McNamara, how many hours did you spend searching the home?
None. I didn't search.
Okay. You simply supervised the search, correct?
Correct, him.
And you were directly supervising how many people?
Approximately 40.
40 people, correct?
Him.
And 40 people were given the task of searching different parts of the home, correct?
Yes.
Every bedroom was searched, correct?
Yes.
Every living room was searched, correct?
Yes.
Closets were searched, correct?
Yes.
Bathrooms were searched, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in the closets, and it's, if I could please have, actually, I rephrase that. You were shown pictures of the closet, correct?
Yes.
And in the closet there were white shirts hanging, correct?
Yes.
Shoes?
Yes.
Other men's clothing, correct?
Yes.
And did you know who those clothing belonged to?
No.
Did you make any effort to find out whose clothing they were?
No, that's not part of the search.
Okay. And then you searched the kitchen, correct?
Yes.
The kitchen was an average kitchen with kitchen-related things in it, correct?
It was a very nice kitchen with kitchen-related things in it, yes.
Okay. But there was food there on the counter, correct?
There was food. I don't recall specifically what the food was.
Okay. And after you searched the kitchen, you searched the other rooms, correct?
I did not search.
Well, you testified to a lot of photographs during the search, so I apologize. You supervised the search where those rooms were searched, correct?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at the photographs of the garage, shall we? So that we can talk about that red Lamborghini. Did you enter the garage to look for the red Lamborghini?
I entered through the garage but not to look for the Lamborghini.
And is it fair to say that you had emailed with your team about a search warrant for that particular Lamborghini? Correct?
The seizure warrant for the Lamborghini was included, yes.
You emailed about the seizure warrant, correct?
I emailed the entire team, the search warrant and the seizure warrant.
Okay. And you had the seizure warrant for the car separately discussed, right? It was an important issue for you, correct?
Mr. Finkel said, objection. Vagueness.
The court said, what is the question?
Sure. You were specifically told to look for a red Lamborghini, correct?
No. We had a seizure warrant for the Lamborghini. But nobody said, make sure you find the Lamborghini.
Okay. So there was a specific seizure warrant for the car, the Lamborghini, right?
Yes.
You were told it was red, correct?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I know it had the VIN number on the seizure warrant. I don't recall if it had the color.
Ms. Shrofa said, okay. If I could just have 95 pulled up, please. And that's the car. Did you actually view the car in this state?
I'm sorry. I don't understand. The state. In Connecticut, is it?
No. I mean covered.
Oh, no.
You didn't see it when it was covered, correct?
No, I did not. That's one of the entry photos.
Okay. And the person who took this photo, this is how they found the car, correct?
Yes.
The car was covered with this black thing on the top, correct?
Yes.
And it's plugged into, there's a wire going into the car, correct?
Yes.
And then the wire is plugged in, correct?
Yeah, it looks plugged in.
Right. I don't drive, so I don't know, but does that mean the car is charging?
I believe that's to keep the battery charged.
To keep the battery charged, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this was one of many garages that was there, correct?
There were 2 garages.
Right. And in this garage, then, there's somebody who's obviously working out, so there's some kind of workout equipment on the right. Correct?
Yes.
And then this is usual stuff you would find in somebody's home, right?
Mr. Finkel said, objection as to the form.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
Yes, it's typical items from a garage.
The garage wasn't locked, correct?
I don't know that.
Ms. Schrofa said, okay. And then if I could have the uncovered version of the car, please. And that's what the car looked like, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you see that little white thing on the hoodie part?
Yes.
What's that for?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you search the car at all?
I did not.
Did you talk to the person who you were supervising that was searching the car?
Yes.
Okay. And did they tell you if they found a driver's license in the car?
They did not.
Did they tell you if they found anything related to Miles Guo in the car?
No.
Did they tell you they found his clothing in the car?
No.
Did they tell you they found anything in the car?
No.
Ms. Schrofa said, and let me see if I could just get those keys, please. This is Government Exhibit 36, correct? You testified about these keys?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't recover the keys, right?
I did not.
You don't know who recovered the keys, correct?
There were 2 searchers in that room. I don't recall which one recovered the keys.
Okay. So somebody gave you the keys and here they are in the courtroom, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified to these keys, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified to them because the government showed them to you when you were preparing for your testimony here today, correct?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Sure. They showed you these keys when they prepped you, right?
They showed me these keys, yes.
And they prepped you, right, for your testimony here today?
Sure, yes.
You met with them several times, right?
Yes.
You met with them this morning, correct?
Yes.
Twice this morning or once? How many times?
Once, I believe.
You believe once?
I believe once, yes.
Okay. And then they told you to come in early so that they could prep you, right?
I believe so.
They sent you a text?
Text or an email. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, here, let me help you out.
Okay.
Did you keep a note of how many times it is you met with these prosecutors to prepare for your testimony here today?
No.
Do you know if it was more than 5 times?
I don't know.
How many times in the last 2 days did you meet with them? Do you remember?
I don't know if I met with them yesterday.
Let me talk to you a little bit about these keys.
I'm
going to leave them right here. There's an evidence tag on those keys, correct?
There's a tag. I'm not sure what kind of tag this is.
Okay, but it's a tag put on by your people, right? That tag wasn't on the keys when you got the keys, right?
I have no idea who put this tag on. They were not on the keys at the time.
Okay, and the keys were just exactly like the way you see them in their envelope, right?
I don't know.
You don't know if it had a keychain on it, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know if it had a name tag on it, correct?
I don't know.
When was the first time the prosecutor showed you those keys?
Today.
This morning.
Yes.
Okay. And he showed you those keys and he told you were going to testify to them, correct?
He asked me about the keys.
Ms. Schrofa said, okay. See if this refreshes your recollection.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, there's no failure of recollection. Objection.
Ms. Schrofa said, I believe she couldn't remember.
The court said, no, she did not say she could not recall. Sustained.
By Ms. Schrofa.
You testified earlier that you couldn't recall, right? Whether it was by email or by text that they asked you to come in this morning.
Yes.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection, ma'am?
Yes, it looks like a text.
Okay. And they texted you to come in early so they could prepare you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you came in early 'cause you wanted to be prepared for testimony here today, right?
That and it's 2.5 hours to get here from Connecticut. So I had to be here before the traffic.
Okay. But you met with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. And they asked you about those keys, correct?
Yes.
They asked you who recovered them and you said, I don't know, correct?
Correct.
And they asked you where they were recovered and you said, I don't know, correct?
I know which room they were in. I said it was the room it's like an office and it had display monitors for the security cameras.
And the security, that's where you were told that the keys were put, correct?
That's where the keys were found.
Okay. So the keys were not found in the garage where the car was, correct?
Correct.
They were not found inside the car where one would leave them if they used the car every day, correct?
Mr. Finkel said, objection as to form.
The court said, sustained.
Were they found inside the car?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, if you could just show her, please, and the jury, number 95. Did somebody actually drive the car out of the garage when they seized it?
I don't know.
Ms. Strofa said, if somebody could please put up 58. You testified as to this photograph, correct?
Yes.
And could you tell me, please, on the right side you see a flag, correct?
Yes.
Did you know what that flag was for?
No. I have no idea.
Was there a name tag on the flag?
I don't know.
Was there a notation New Federal State of China anywhere telling you about that flag?
I don't know anything about this flag.
Okay. Look on the left side of that photograph, please. Do you see that big yellow, the big white round thing?
Yes.
What was that?
I don't know.
That's something that was used to broadcast with. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. Could you zoom out, please? Did you conclude that this was an office space or a working space?
It looks to me like some type of studio-type setup.
It looked like a recording studio, correct?
Something like that, yes.
It looked like a place from where someone would broadcast, correct?
Yes.
Ms. Strofa said, may I please have number 59? Okay. This is a better picture, perhaps. So there's recording equipment right there, correct?
Yes.
There's a computer monitor, correct?
Yes.
A chair?
Yes.
And during your search, did you try to find out if these were working equipment?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Strofa said, may I have 83, please? Now you testified about certain documents that the government had you read, right?
I read them.
Right. You read them out loud, the loan agreements, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How much paperwork did your team recover from that home?
Printed paper.
Yes.
Not a lot.
Not a lot?
No.
Okay. There was a loan agreement that you read out loud for him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know what the loan agreement was about?
No.
Do you know where the loan agreement was kept?
No.
Do you know who kept the loan agreement in which room?
No.
Do you know if it was Mr. Guo's room?
No.
Do you know if it was even in the kitchen or the toilet? You have no idea where it was, right?
You could go back to the evidence log.
Do you know?
Do I know? No. I did not search.
Okay. And you testified and read documents that the government asked you to read, correct?
Yes.
You'd never read them before, correct?
Correct.
You didn't choose which documents to read to the jury, correct?
I did not.
You don't know what other documents were recovered in the home, 'cause you didn't do the search, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You didn't recover Mr. Guo's wallet in there, correct?
I don't recall a wallet being found.
Passport?
No.
Sitting here today, do you recall if there was even a driver's license in his name?
I don't know.
How about a learner's permit?
No, I did not see any of that.
So your memory is basically limited to what the government showed you to prepare you for the trial here today.
Mr. Finkel said, object to form.
The court said you may answer.
No. I remember what I did when I was there.
Right. But all you did was supervise, right?
That's correct.
You're not the one who searched for anything at all, correct?
That's correct.
You recovered none of the things that you've testified to today, including the keys, correct?
That's correct.
You testified about a suit with the name Brioni on it, correct?
I think it was a piece of paper.
Do you remember testifying about a hanger with the name Brioni on it?
I saw the picture. I don't think I was asked about that.
Okay. Do you know what Brioni is?
I have no idea.
Do you know if there were suits recovered in that home, men's suits?
Suits were not on the list of items to be seized. We didn't take any clothing.
My question was okay. Did you see any of the suits?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know how old they were?
No.
Do you know if they were from 2010 versus 2020?
No.
Do you know if they were his suits or somebody else's suits?
No.
Now you remember reading a document from which they made you read names, and then you read something called Voice of Guo. Voice of Good, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what that meant?
No.
Do you know what Voice of Guo is?
No.
Do you know what Voice of Good is?
No.
Do you know what Soraka is?
No.
This is the hanger I'm talking about. You testified as to this hanger, right? This photograph?
I saw the photograph. Yes.
Right. You never saw the hanger though, right?
I did not.
Okay. So you're only testifying here about the photographs that somebody else took and gave to you. Correct?
Yes.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. May I have, please, number 176? Okay. You testified about this document, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel asked you to read it out loud, and you read it out loud to the jury, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What does it mean designer number 1 whistle?
I have no idea.
Pants 100, do you know what it means?
I do not.
Hat 200, do you know what it means?
I do not.
Sitting here today, do you know if these pants and hats were supposed to be part of a swag bag?
No.
You don't know anything about what you read to the jury, correct?
That's correct.
All you can tell them is that there was this piece of paper found by somebody in your team and they took a photograph. And you recited that to the jury.
Mr. Finkel said, objection as to form.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
I apologize. I've already forgotten the question.
All you know is that somebody took a photograph. They took that photograph that you then looked at. The government had you read out loud to this jury and you did that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have 184, please? You see that yellow sticky on this exhibit that you testified about?
Yes.
For Matthew, new insurance cards for all 4 vehicles effective, or effect April 1st, 20, correct?
Yes.
Do you know who wrote that post-it?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, and if you scroll down, please. That's the entire document, right?
I don't know.
You don't know if these documents were recovered together, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know if they were in one place together, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know who filled out the documents, correct?
Who filled out? I don't understand. Who filled out?
You don't know whose handwriting is anywhere on these documents.
Oh, no.
Somebody showed you a photograph. You're testifying about the photograph, right?
Yes.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. You can take that down. If I could just have 393.
Mr. Finkel said, I don't believe 393 is in evidence.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. 174. You see this document? You also testified to this, correct?
Yes.
Lies told by Miles Guo. You have no idea what date they're talking about, correct?
Correct.
You don't know what questions and answers this is about, right?
Right.
You don't know who has pre-selected questions or what they are, right?
Correct.
You just got up there and read it to the jury because he told you to, right?
That's what I was asked to do, read it.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. And could we scroll down? This is the full page, right? Do you know where it was recovered from?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. You may take that down. If I could have 129. You testified to this document?
I don't recall.
Okay, then we can take it down. Is it fair to say, Agent McNamara, that your job was limited to receiving whatever other people in that house were looking for and giving to you?
Mr. Finkel said, object as to form.
The court said, I did not hear that.
Mr. Finkel said, objection as to form.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
Nobody gave me anything. I managed the search. The searchers searched. The photographers took the photographs. They entered the items into our evidence list, so we had a list of what was taken, and they packaged it. They didn't hand them to me to do that.
Okay, fair enough. And the search you said took 4 hours, right?
Approximately 4 hours, yes.
Nobody bothered you during your search, correct?
No.
And then the search was complete, you left?
Completely.
When the search was complete, you left, right?
Yes.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. Thank you very much.
The court said, redirect?
Mr. Finkel said, very briefly.
Redirect examination. By Mr. Finkel.
Special Agent McNamara, what was the role of you and your team on March 15, 2023?
To help execute the search warrant.
And when documents or physical items are recovered from a search, what, if anything, does the FBI do to keep track of where those materials come from?
So they're seized by the seizing agent, and then it starts a chain of custody.
And can you explain a little bit about how it's tracked where particular materials are recovered from? Like which room, for example?
Oh, sure. So when someone finds an item in a room, we send the photographer. They take a photo in place. When we do our photos, we give each room a letter, so when that item is recovered, we'll say, give a description of the item, say, cell phone serial number so and so was located in room B on desk. And then we put the 2 people who actually found and witnessed that item.
And was that procedure followed on March 15, 2023?
Yes.
And Special Agent McNamara, when the FBI leaves, what precautions or what's the policy and procedures right before leaving? What does the FBI do?
With the evidence?
The evidence and the photographs.
Oh. So there is a seizing agent, so there's one person that takes custody of the evidence. And they start the chain of custody, and they bring that evidence to the evidence room, where it gets logged in and put into the case file. The photographs, like I believe I said earlier. The photographer takes the SD card and burns it directly to disks, so we don't put it in a computer first. And then we make an original copy that goes into the case file, a backup of the original copy into the case file, a copy for the case agent, and then, should we need another copy for the lab or for sending stuff to forensics. For forensics, then we make a 4th copy.
Special Agent McNamara, do you know what Stats FBI, the New York FBI investigative team, took prior to the search on March 15, 2023, with respect to this case?
No.
Do you know what steps FBI, what investigative steps they took after March 15th of 2023?
No.
Do you know if the case agent, what's a case agent?
There's usually one, sometimes more, assigned as the responsible person for that case.
And do you know if the case agents, are you a case agent on this case?
No.
Do you know if the case agents know what Soraka means?
I have no idea.
Do you know if the case agents have reviewed those documents?
I don't know.
And discussed them with the U.S. Attorney's Office?
I don't know.
Whether the case agents have gotten other search warrants?
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, the case agent isn't testifying here today.
The court said, he's asked whether she knows what the case agent has done or not done. She may answer,
I do not know.
And Special Agent McNamara, aside from the search March 15, 2023, do you have any other involvement in this matter?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, Thank you, Special Agent McNamara.
The court said recross?
Ms. Schrofa said, very briefly.
Recross-examination. By Ms. Schrofa.
You took every precaution to make sure that the evidence was properly documented, correct?
Yes.
And you made sure to take photographs of the evidence, correct?
Yes.
Or had the photographs taken, correct?
Yes.
And then you made sure those photographs were properly kept in a file, correct?
Yes.
And after taking all of those steps, when you reviewed the evidence, there was nothing with a singular name tied to that Lamborghini that involved Miles Guo, correct?
Mr. Finkel said, Objection.
The court said, if you know the answer, you may answer.
I do not know.
There was not a single title to the Lamborghini in Miles Guo's name, correct?
I don't know.
You read the title, didn't you?
I read that title. I don't know if there were other titles. I don't know.
So your knowledge for this jury is only limited to what he told you to testify about?
No.
Well, you tell me. If you know more and you took all these detailed steps, could you tell this jury if you recovered any singular document linking the Lamborghini to Miles Guo?
I do not know.
You didn't find anything linking the cars to the Lamborghini to Miles Guo?
The cars to the llama.
The keys.
Oh, the keys. I thought you said cars. No.
And nothing in the car, not a single piece of clothing, not a driver's license, linked that car to Miles Guo, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, you can only testify to what you're aware of, ma'am.
Right.
That's a no. The answer is no? Is the answer no?
I've forgotten the question now.
There is nothing that you found linking that Lamborghini to Miles Guo, correct?
Nothing of the search of 373, correct?
That's where the car was, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Finkel said, One question.
The court said, redirect?
Redirect examination. By Mr. Finkel.
Special Agent McNamara, do you know if the FBI New York team has a video or recovered a video of Miles Guo driving the Lamborghini that was found at 373 Taconic on March 15, 2023?
I do not know.
Mr. Finkel said, Nothing further.
The court said recross?
Recross-examination. By Ms. Schrofa.
Driving a car doesn't mean you own a car, correct? As a special agent, you'd be able to testify to that, right?
Yes.
Ms. Schrofa said, Thank you.
The court said thank you. You may step out, and the government may call its next witness.
Witness excused.